The red
Ready to
Solo cup.
rumble.
I love it. I like that move.
I
I
don't
do
want
that.
to do I don't want to do dishes.
Oh, I drink coffee out of a red Solo cup sometimes. It's a crazy move, but I
Hot
appreciate it.
coffee?
Yeah. No, yeah, I'm a
That's a little crazy.
no, yeah, I'm a crazy person. That's confirmed.
Okay.
Hello everyone. Welcome back to the People Person Podcast presented by Good Time Media. I am your host, Wyatt Metzger. As always, today I am joined by the lovely Mariel Darling. I'll clap it up for you. I've never done that before, but I feel like I should start clapping up for guests. How you doing today?
Well, I'm honored. I'm honored to be the first clappable
Yeah. It
guest.
felt right. It just felt natural. I'm just gonna trust my gut here. I genuinely don't know too much about you, which I'm excited for this. Which I like going interview,
Perfect, because
going
I
in
don't
like
know anything about you either.
I'm gonna keep it that way. I'm gonna keep the mystery alive. But what I have gathered from my extensive research, you started performing at a very young age. So you're a singer, performer. You started at a very young age. Is that true?
Yes, I started working in a recording studio at the age of 9, maybe 8.5, but 9.
I mean, that's ridiculous. Well, how did that
Yeah.
happen?
So I was always into performing. So I'm an only child, and it's just my mom and I. So I learned at a young age to entertain myself. So it just became a passion of mine to sing and dance and just put on a show. I'm a pretty lively person, and I do, in a non-conceited way, like the spotlight. So, as a little girl, I would set up my teddy bears and dolls and I'd perform to them, or I would beg my mom to have company over just so I could sing to them with my little plastic Little Tikes piano. I was like 5, and I would that's all I would do all day long is just sing to nothingness. And my mom has always been extremely supportive of my dream. And all my friends would play soccer or do sports, and all I wanted to do was sing and dance. So my mom kind of just let me run with that since I've been a very little girl. And I would be in the school plays and talent shows, variety shows. And one day in the audience, one of the mothers worked for Radio Disney. And to
There you
this
go.
day, she is still my manager. We are
Wow.
literally like family. So she's been managing me for like what, 10 plus years. And she just started introducing me to a bunch of people in the industry that she knew. She worked for the Jonas Brothers, she worked for Radio Disney Kids. So then she started just managing me when she started a family. And from there on, I just kept networking, creating connections, and working with a bunch of different people and kind of working myself up while being a full-time student and content creator.
So when you start that young, do you like remember? Did you ever get nervous? Because I feel like there's a certain point when you're so young, you just like don't understand like the social like pressures of performing, where it's just like this is just what I want to do, so I'm gonna do it. Do you remember getting nervous when you were like really young?
No. So like I said, I grew up singing to my teddy
Yeah.
bears, and honestly, I didn't think of an actual human audience being any different because I was so in my own world. It was in my element that I didn't care. I was just so excited to have eyeballs on me, and I was so excited to just do my thing and like actually have people clap back for once.
And did that change as you grew up? Did you was there a moment where like, oh shit, there's real people here? Like I gotta like kind of perform. Did that has that always been the mindset? Has that changed at all?
It's changed as I've become more aware, but I was when I was 12 years old, I performed at Madison Square Gardens at the halftime show for the New York Knicks.
Holy
And
crap.
yeah, I was 12. And I remember, I think Madison Square Garden seats around 67,000 people. And it was a huge game. It was the Knicks and the Bulls. And I remember walking out on that stage. Like, I think you can find, like, I think I have a video of it on YouTube somewhere. And I look like a little sprinkle compared to like how big the stadium is. Because
Yeah.
I'm a tiny person to begin with. So think about how tiny I was at 12 on one of the largest courts like in America with like thousands and thousands of people. And I sang Adele's Rolling in the Deep as a 12-year-old. I
Nice.
was wearing a cheerleading outfit. And I just love the energy of people and I love the eyes on me and I love just doing what I do best. Therefore, I don't really let the audience affect me in a nervous way because it actually fuels me to be better.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I'm not like that at all, but it makes sense. Um, did you ever you like kind of fell in love with this very early on? Was there a moment few years down the road, like maybe early teens, where you're like maybe not second guessing, but like just kind of questioning a little bit as you become more aware of like what that industry looks like? Because I think there's a lot of benefits of like when you do start as a kid, there's like a not like you're just very naive, I guess, to like what everything looks like. And that's a good thing where, like you said, you don't get nervous. You're just doing because you love to do it. Was there a moment where you like started to like, is this really what I want to do? Do I really love this? Where you just like, start questioning things?
I never second guessed, is this really what I want to do? It was more so, can I do it? As I began to like build my career and how demanding it is, and also being a full-time student, breaking into the music industry is like finding a needle in a haystack, especially if you're going to make it, which my dream still to this day is to make it. And I know that I have the ability and the potential to do that, but there's just so many different layers and like you get burned along the way because people
Mm,
in the music industry are cutthroat. Any entertainment industry, there are just so many talented people that breaking through the noise can be really hard. And sometimes that can be detrimental on your, um, I guess, your positive self talk to yourself. That sometimes I'm like, oh, this person that was behind me is now bypassing me. But am I going to take that
mm-hmm.
as a learning experience? Or am I going to beat myself down because this person might have had an opportunity that I wished I had? And I think that that's just a lot about positive mindset. And I still to this day sometimes doubt myself, which we all do. It's just
Yeah.
like we're human. But I feel like the only way you can succeed is by putting positivity into yourself and believing in yourself.
Yeah. Do you have you noticed anything different between how kind of they treated you as a kid? Because obviously you're performing at Madison Square Garden at what you say, like 12 or like 9 or whatever.
Hmm.
Like it's crazy.
Well,
Do you like notice how like, you look back on that and be like, oh, like they treated me way differently when I was a kid versus now, or like how that industry changes between when you're a kid in it and when you're now? Like, do you notice a difference?
yeah, for sure. I was 12.
Yeah.
I could obviously form sentences,
Yeah.
but I was like still learning life and I'm still learning life, but a lot of my managers and my mom and consultants and whatnot and producers, they were like making most of the decisions
Yeah.
for me because I was 12 and I wasn't at that time a songwriter yet. So a lot of the things I was singing was things I was told to sing. Um, so there wasn't a lot of my own creativity and artistry being put into how I was presenting myself because I was 12. Like, what kind of songs were I going to write
Yeah.
about my pony? Like, there wasn't like too much that had
Yeah.
happened in my life that I could really write a song about, or let alone write a song. So I started songwriting when I was probably like 14, which is like when I started having crushes and when like real life events started happening that were
Yeah.
maybe like of some form of substance. And I think that that really helped me become an artist that people respected more. So I think that as I got a little bit older into my teens, I did see a switch from, oh, I'm going to hand a little bit more of the reins over to you, Marielle. You can start making your creative decisions, how you want to dress, how you want to represent yourself, not just specifically being told, okay, this is who you have to be. And back then, I was just Marielle. And so I didn't get into social media until I was like 16, but like I had a YouTube channel and I had a Facebook was a thing, I think, and I had a website. So
Yeah.
I was Marielle's Music. I wasn't Marielle Darling yet.
Okay.
So I didn't have the identity that I have today, which I think makes me a
Yeah.
stronger musician.
Yeah, that had to be like probably pretty rewarding when you start making your own decisions and all that stuff. It's probably harder because it'd be a lot easier to just continue to listen to the people that got you there, if that makes sense. Where like, oh, like they know what they're doing. Like they're older than me. They've gone through it. They experience that stuff. I could listen to you and maybe be on a different path, but it has to be way more rewarding just to be like, I'm gonna do this because I want to do it. And then once you do get to that end goal, it's like because you got yourself there, and
Hmm.
that's got to be way more rewarding. I like that. I feel like that'd be a really cool process.
It is, especially with songwriting. Once I became able to touch more parts of creativity, because there's so many steps that go into just releasing a song, let alone creating a song. So once I was able to be like, hold the reins a bit, write my own lyrics, direct the producers and how I wanted the track to be created, learning my vocal style and how I want to sing the songs, because that takes a lot of work and like it takes a lot of searching and soul searching too as to how you want to come across, not just as an artist, but as a vocalist too, because I can sing any genre, but choosing something that means something to me or that works for me vocally the best is I've gone through so many different genre changes because I'm still trying to like figure out what my sound is.
Yeah. Do you? What's the day to day look like now? Like, are you mostly writing? Are you mostly just in a room writing with people? Are you how often are you performing? What's that look like now?
Unfortunately, since COVID, I have not performed live. And I think a lot of people during COVID took to social media as a performative and like entertainment outlet, which I definitely picked up on more than ever, doing like um, live live videos and
Mm-hmm.
broadcasting and whatnot. And I think I took a lot of time to foster more of like a social media presence during that time, which has kind of become a part of my day to day
Mm-hmm.
activities is like I'm trying to post a certain amount of TikToks and stay active on this platform, but also keeping up with my emails. My producers are in LA, so it's a different time zone. We're chit-chatting when I'm releasing this song, new songs that I'm writing. There's so much in the air that sometimes I just need to like take a minute and be like, okay, we're gonna work on social media. Tomorrow we're gonna work on this new release. So there's never like my days are never like the same or consistent, which is
Yeah.
like very hard. And I'm also still in college. So that like right now I'm on break. So I
Yeah.
have like more time to devote towards my career. But
How
yeah,
are you?
I'm kind of
How?
all over the place.
Yeah. How do you handle going to school right now? Like, what are you studying? Do you feel just annoyed that you have to go to class and do and learn this stuff because you're like, I don't really need this if I want to pursue this career. Does that make sense?
So what I'm going to school for is exactly what I do outside of school.
There you
So I
go.
go to NYU and I go to Gallatin, which is the School of Individualized Studies at NYU. So I create my own major and I choose my own courses. I also can create my own courses. So some of the classes I'm in, I'm the only student because I choose a faculty member that I want to teach me. So, like every single one of my courses is either in social media or contemporary music. So, my major is contemporary music and social media studies. So technically, my life is an ongoing homework assignment.
Yeah.
So I'm technically studying myself, and everything is my life is like a case study towards like my thesis or whatever,
Oh,
which is
that,
really
yeah, that's
cool. So
awesome.
I can use myself as a guinea pig towards what I'm learning in class. So I'm really grateful that I'm able to be at a university that allows me to do that because I love learning. I've always loved school. I'm obviously in a field where I don't need a degree,
Hmm.
but I want a degree. Like, I don't want to become a music teacher. That's not why I'm going to school. I'm going to school because I want to make relationships within the music industry. Like, everybody at NYU is so accredited, and everyone is like, they're like the top of their field. And if they know people and they can connect me with somebody that maybe if I didn't go to the school they couldn't connect me with, then I mean, I think that it's only doing me more good than harm.
Yeah, it's I actually had someone on a couple weeks ago who just graduated from NYU, another musician. His name's Jesse Solomon. I don't know if you've heard about him.
Okay.
He graduated I think recently. I'm trying to remember. They all kind of blend together.
Okay.
But yeah, it was cool talking to him about like the music scene out there because he just kind of like I think he's in Philly now, so I think he's performing out there. But yeah, it's kind of cool when you're able to
Oh, cool.
curate your like education towards what you want to do. And it's like
Yeah.
I was the same way where I was like studying communications, but some projects and stuff I could just
Mhm.
turn in stuff I already did. Like we had to make like this video, the short film
Mhm.
for a class. I would just turn in a video I made like 2 years ago. And they were like, "Oh my gosh, how did you make this in a week?" And I'd be like, "Well, I made it 2 years ago. That's why." But I just wouldn't tell the professor that. And it's kind of cool when
I've
you're
done
able
the
to.
same. I've done the same thing.
Yeah, it's so nice because like
I'll
I've been doing
submit
this.
songs that I worked on.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
100%. What's so how much longer school do you have?
So with COVID, school has been all over the place. I've been to
Yeah.
like three different universities. I technically have three more semesters, so I'm
Okay.
technically a junior.
It's a mess. I
Yeah.
still have like COVID has screwed schooling up big time. I have 2 more years.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah, I still have 2 more years of eligibility as like an athlete if I wanted it, even though I graduated. Like I could go and like play somewhere if I wanted to. I'm not going to because I'm enjoying retired life. But it's so weird how I feel like COVID kind of I've talked about this a lot on the podcast, but it gives a lot of people time to like just take a breath, be like, all right, what do I actually want to do? Like
Hmm.
where do I want to go in life? I can like take a step back and just reevaluate things because a lot of just the way we function as a society is go, 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 just move forward, tunnel vision. And if you can't get out of that mindset, you're just gonna wake up and be 50 and be like, shit, here I am. I didn't actually want to do this, but here I am.
I know that thought stresses me out all the time.
Oh, it's terrifying. 100%. What do you see 2023 since I think this will be my first episode of the new year. I think wait, no, I post one Monday. Never mind. Sorry. Second one. Sorry. We'll cut that. We'll just say it's the first one. But what do you think 2023 looks like for you? What are the goals you have looking forward to?
So I am kind of dabbling with the idea of rebranding myself, and I feel as though this is like going to be like the first full year that I have lived like alone in New York City, and I've created like a really good life for myself out there, and I see myself out there for like a couple more years, and then maybe the West Coast will be calling me because I work half the time in New York and half the time in LA. So there's a lot of back and forth. I see this year being the year that a lot of things start to finally change for me. I feel like within the past 2 years, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, that I'm not saying that people have been in a rut, but I think coming through COVID and the immense change it had on the world, some things just were at a standstill a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this year I learned so much and I learned so much about myself. And I've created probably a year's plus worth of music during that time that I've really come to love the sound that I'm going to be releasing to the world soon. Within a couple weeks will be like the first little taste of the new journey that I'm going on musically. So this year, I'm going to just start releasing more music. I'm going to rebrand myself a little bit in different senses. And I finally hope that this is the year that things just start happening and things start moving. And I'm feeling so positive about that.
I love that. You got to manifest those things. You just force it to happen
Hmm.
and then fake it till you make it. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden you're there. It's great. Um,
Hmm.
what's kind of your relationship with social media? Because obviously, like you said, like it becomes part like of the job where like you have to do it. You got to maintain that audience.
Yeah.
But also like I'm always jealous of the artists who just like have no social media presence and then like drop, but like obviously they've created that audience, but they like drop an album and they just go dark. Like I'm very jealous of that ability to just like kind of separate the two. But I think when you're starting out, like you need that presence. So how like what's your relationship with it? How do you feel when you like, oh, I have to post this, I have to do this? What's that relationship like?
So, like I said, I started social media around the age of 16, I would say. So I was still growing up. So I kind of grew up with it, and it obviously grew up with me as well. When I first started, I got into Musically before it was TikTok.
Yeah.
So I started off with that platform. I had a bunch of people that worked for the company guiding me, um, helping me build my brand, kind of telling me what to post, when to post, how to be framed and whatnot. I had people that lived at my house for a week teaching me how to do all that. Still have a studio set up in my basement that Musically helped me set up because I would do live broadcasting from their sister platform Lively. I had my own TV show every Sunday night. So I had people come and completely turn my basement into a studio, and there's like lighting everywhere. I had scripts printed out. It was literally like I was on a TV show. So I had an hour segment every single Sunday night, and um, we had like 3 million viewers in 1 hour every single Sunday. And the show
Jeez.
was so, yeah, it was so cool. And I did that for close to 2 years. And then Musically was bought by TikTok. So
Uh-huh.
you no longer could do syndicated shows the way I would. Because it was literally like a TV show. Like I had like a legitimate camera filming me that was connected through the computer, so it wasn't just like the phone screen.
Yeah.
Like it would like just crisp as clear as watching something on TV. And the sound, I had like an expensive microphone. Like it was like all done up. I had like a wire on my back. Like it was crazy. And I was
Jeez.
16 doing this. And that relationship really pushed me in front of a camera, out in the open. I had to learn how to talk on my feet. I had to read thousands of comments so fast. I'm such a quick reader and typer
Yeah.
now because I just can like absorb all that stuff really fast because I had to do it for so long. And one of the things that I would do at the end, so my show is called the Jukebox Countdown. I would talk about the top 10 songs trending on Musically that week. So I'd play them, sing them, do trivia about them. And then at the end, I would do this thing called the human jukebox where everyone would rapid fire in the chat a song of choice and I would like sing it, probably like a snippet, maybe like 5, 10 seconds, whatever part of the song I knew. And I'd do that for like 5 minutes straight. And it just like, it was so fun for me. Like I loved it. Even though I was in a dark room all alone, I had hundreds of thousands of eyes on me and like it was such an adrenaline rush. And I
Yeah.
feel like that,
Hmm.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, how do you not get like at a young age? How do you not like get sucked into the numbers of it all? You know what I mean? Like I feel like it'd be so easy to like just become addicted to more at that age.
I did for sure. I would kind of feel crappy if I didn't. So like it was called like emoji love at the time. Like it's when they would like the screen and
Yeah.
whatnot and how many likes you got. And you'd go up a leaderboard for the day of like who was like the highest. If I wasn't the top on the leaderboard or like at least in the top three, if I didn't get enough likes, I'd like, "Ugh, damn it, I didn't do good. And then I'd push myself so much harder next week. And I was like, oh, should I do my makeup differently? Should I stand differently? And at the end of the day, your performance and the happiness that you get from doing the act of performing to the camera rather than, I guess, the takeaway of, oh, how many likes did I get? How many viewers? Were there any mean comments? That's not what's important. It's your showmanship that's important. And I definitely learned that from this experience that sometimes I'm super proud of the content that I post, like to this day, that doesn't get a lot of likes. And
Mhm.
sometimes I'm like, ugh, damn it. Like I put in so much effort to this one video and it kind of flopped, but a stupid video that took me 30 seconds goes
Yeah.
viral. You can't you can't think always about the quantity over the quality. And I think that social media kind of teaches you, oh, if you're not getting hundreds of thousands of views, you're not good enough. And that's not true because that's not real life.
Yeah.
People aren't walking around with how many followers they have tattooed on their forehead. That's not making somebody a good person or a well-rounded person. So you just need to stop and think at the end of the day and be like, am I proud of how I'm presenting myself? And if you can say yes, that's really all that matters. So I think my relationship with social media has been a little bit tumultuous because recently I've been getting some backlash on social media. But at the end of the day, I'm still proud of myself and I know who I am at the end of the day because those people behind a screen don't truly know who you are.
Yeah. Do you think like you talk about like the performance of it all, like you enjoying that part, but do you feel like sometimes there's a disconnect between I want to put on a really good performance, but then that's also always putting your best foot forward. So then who you are as a person, like obviously like you can't be on like that all the time. Sometimes that doesn't align. Does that ever bother you? Where like I know for me personally, I can't like I'm not a performer. I can sit here and talk with people all day. Like I like that, but that's just like me. I can't like I couldn't go on stage and like capture an audience, all that. So that's just not how I like feel like I don't think that's my strength. Do you ever feel like that doesn't align with the performance you want to put on and give people the best show versus this is how I really am? Does that make sense?
Totally. And that's something that I feel like I have always battled with a little bit. Sometimes I'll use like the analogy of like Miley Cyrus and Hannah Montana back when she would do
Yeah.
Hannah Montana. Those are like two different personas, and I think that sometimes I'm just Marielle, and then sometimes I'm Marielle Darling, which is more of a performance persona where I always need to look my best. When the camera's on, I have to fluff my hair, check my lip gloss, and I need to put on a performance. I need to entertain anytime a camera is out. Or even sometimes I'll get lost in that, where sometimes I find myself talking as though I'm talking to the camera when I'm just talking to my friends. So
Mhm.
sometimes there's a balance because I get so used to spending so much time on social media and entertaining and using that persona to create content that sometimes it's hard to like shut that off and be like, okay, it's time to be Marielle. Let's take a deep breath. Let's go wash our makeup off and put our sweatpants on. Like, let's just like decompress and like be a real human. Because being on all the time, number one, that's not healthy. And number two, that's
Mhm.
not genuine.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of balance that needs to be learned. And I still don't think I've fully learned it because I have a lot of friends tell me, you are so different on social media than you are in real life. I think sometimes on social media, I know this, I can give off maybe like annoying, blonde, bratty energy when I am such a sweet, genuine, and kind person. It's just sometimes the internet doesn't perceive me as that, which is really hard to communicate because once you get into a niche or like a niche on social media, that's all they want to see, and you can't stop or you'll watch your views go down.
Yeah.
So
Does
it's
that
so
bother
hard to balance.
does it bother you when your friends say that? Like, oh, you're different here. Like, because for me, I see it as like it would be too exhausting for me to try to like you say, flip that switch on and off. So however you want to look at it, I'm either always on or always off. Like I don't know where I stand on that balance because I just like I generally again I don't see myself as a performer where I just kind of like to let other people talk about themselves. Does that bother you when you're like, oh, I see a difference between the two?
Um, I don't know if it bothers me because sometimes I don't notice. So I then question what they're seeing
Yeah.
and what social media is seeing and how I could maybe bridge those two a bit more and have like maybe like a happy medium. Because at the end of the day, at my core, I am a performer. I have always been in the dramatic arts. That's what I love to do, and that's who I am. But I'm not always so dramatized. So I think finding like a happy medium is going to benefit me in both ways. But the people that love me know that I am genuine. And the people that
Mhm.
love me on social media know that I'm genuine too. So you can't always win everybody
Yeah.
over. Um, does it bother me? Not really, because I have a lot of self-confidence and I know my worth, and I know that at the end of the day, I am a good person. So if someone doesn't see that, then maybe that's the problem with them.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. It's always
Yeah.
like if someone's kind of judging you through what they see on social media, that's on them. But that is interesting, kind of how
Yeah.
I never thought of being like a singer, performer, just songwriter in general is a performance in of itself. Like if you were like in the dramatic arts in theater and like performing a play, like you are not yourself when you're performing a play in a theater. No one questions that. But then if as a
Hmm.
singer or songwriter, if you kind of dramatize it or gas it up a little bit, people will sometimes criticize that, which is interesting because there's not a big difference between the two. And I've never thought about it that way. So that's interesting.
People want to be entertained. People want you
Mhm.
to do something that makes them be like, whoa, I can't
Yeah.
believe they just did that. People innately want to be impressed, either in a positive way or in a negative way. People want that attention. So I would say artists, musicians are artists. You have to present yourself a certain way, you have to create music a certain way. There's so many different layers to being a musician that makes you an artist, not just someone that makes music. If you're going to be successful, you have to have a whole entire brand, and it has to be curated, and it has to make sense. That is a performance in itself. Just
Yeah.
being an artist is a performance in itself.
That's like terrifying. I couldn't do that. I more props to you. That would give me too much anxiety. But I can appreciate that a lot more. Like that makes a lot of sense to me. It's interesting because people always like, oh, like I want this authentic, genuine artist. It's like sometimes like they don't. They really don't. They always say that. It's always nice to hear. So, but like you said, people want to be entertained. People want that performance. And when it doesn't line up to what they are expecting, they get mad, which is dumb as an audience, but is what it is. Few more questions for you just to wrap up, kind of change gears here a little bit. If you could change one thing about the music industry, what would you change? Like, what's your least favorite part?
Um, which is a little hypocritical, what I'm going to say,
Yeah.
is that so many people in this day and age that are on social media they don't start off as musicians. They start off as TikTok dancers or comedians or whatever. And they build insane platforms. Their following is unlike you've ever seen before. I'm not going to name names,
You
but
can though.
there are
You
so many
can. I
people that
want you
have
to know
just,
you can name names if you want to.
well, I mean, think about it.
Yeah,
Addison
I know.
Rae did not start off as a singer.
Yeah.
Dixie D'Amelio, Charlie D'Amelio, they didn't start off as singers. There's so many TikTokers that did not start off as singers. They were then picked up by labels and crafted into these artists. Um, I don't know if they write their own songs. I don't know if singing is actually their true passion, but that sometimes comes off as maybe not genuine and a way to um, make money and monetize somebody because of a following that they have, um, which is really frustrating to someone like me who
Hmm.
I started singing in a recording studio at the age of 9. I've been working my ass off since I have been 9 to just get the opportunities that these people cut so many lines to get. That is
Yeah.
so frustrating to see because, not gonna lie, I think that I have a lot of talent and I have a lot to give that maybe might not be noticed because I don't have 27 million followers
Yeah.
yet.
I that's very valid. It's very frustrating when you start looking around and be like, I think I'm better than for or not even better, but just like there's so many different paths to getting where you want to go and like where your goals are. And you see someone go a completely different path that seems like they're
Not
cutting it.
genuine.
Yeah, it seems like, oh, you're cutting lines when like who knows behind the scenes what's really going on. But that would be like it's frustrating for me too. Like I see someone, I'm like, I know that's not who you really are. I know, but like it somehow it works and they're getting the followings, they're getting the views, whatever. And it's frustrating. But then it's so hard. That's when you have to kind of go back to that tunnel vision and just be like, I know what I'm doing is right, or like that I enjoy what I'm doing. Keep doing it. If I do it long enough, if I work hard enough, it will work out. But
Yeah.
it is so frustrating when you open up and look around, be like, I don't believe you, or I don't like, I couldn't have done it that way. I don't see it that way. So it's just very interesting.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
Very random question here. I just thought of this morning. When you're performing, so you haven't performed in a while, how conscious
Mhm.
of you are you of how you hold the mic? Because I don't know what to do with my hands all the time. Like, do you do like, does it change? How conscious of you are that of that are you? Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you hold it?
So, I it honestly depends on if the microphone has a wire or not, for sure. And if you're doing like any choreography, I never have my mic in a stand because I like to move around the stage. I like to command the audience. I mainly will start off with both hands on the microphone, one on top, one towards the bottom. And then I talk with my hands a lot, so I
Yeah.
also sing with my hands. So I'll switch it around, but with a microphone and singing, it's way different than talking into a microphone because you're projecting differently for the
Yeah.
song. So you have to pull back. You have to, if you're singing lower tones, you need to go closer to the mic because you want a strong listening experience. And so many musicians I notice don't understand how to hold a mic depending on what you're singing. So there's like an art to knowing the sound that you're going to make and then premeditating where the microphone needs to be. So like you're balancing two different things at the same time. It just becomes muscle memory. But if I'm gonna like belt something, I have to make sure that the
Yeah.
mic is further away, or I'm gonna blow the speakers and like completely ruin the whole entire listening experience.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So holding is so important.
How bad is like when you're performing like if you're performing in a big place like you said Madison Square Garden, like the echo and like the feedback, how annoying is that? Or like are you wearing like earplugs? What's that look like?
So sometimes you have in-ears. It depends on the system, but a lot of the time they'll have they'll have like feedback speakers. So the speakers will be facing you on the stage, and then there'll be speakers in the back that are facing the audience. So you'll be hearing in real time as well as the audience hearing in real time, just from different directions. And there's like spacing when it comes to like, there'll be like sometimes stickers on the stage being like, you can't go this close to the speakers or you're going to get feedback, then that's going to completely ruin that. It's going to make a screeching noise and it's going to be crazy. So you have to be conscious of where you're going and like almost staying in this little triangle as to where the speakers are, because the microphone is going to cause feedback with the
Yeah.
speakers, and they're coming from both ways and you're like in the middle, so it's like you have to make sure you like stay in the right zone.
Yeah.
So
No,
that's
that
choreography in itself.
yeah, seriously, it's a whole nother part of the performance.
Yeah.
Last question for you. It's a question I ask everyone who comes on. You can answer it however you want. But what gets you up in the morning?
The ability to one day make an impact and make a difference. I write a lot of my songs about female empowerment, and a lot of my content is funny, girly lifestyle or dating content, but it's always based around female empowerment. And I was a little girl that looked up to artists like Taylor Swift, who have made it huge in this industry and created such a change with the way that female musicians are looked at. And I want to do that tenfold one day. I want a little girl to look at me the way that I looked at my favorite artist and be like, she did that, I can do that. So, my goal is to have that impact on just one little girl, if that's possible. So, I would say what gets me up in the morning is the ability to make change and make a difference in the music industry and impact one day a little girl's life.
I love that. Now, well, thank you so much for coming on, Mariel. Mariel, I appreciate it.
Thank you for having
Um,
me.
you want to let people know where they can find your music, where they can find you, all that good stuff?
Yeah, so tentatively, I have a new song coming out hopefully mid-January. It's called Never Needed You. I'm really excited about this one. It's a little taste of the new sound Mariel is going to be bringing to your AirPods. You can find me on all social media platforms at Mariel_Darling. YouTube is just Mariel Darling. I've got some YouTube videos up there, and Spotify, Apple Music, any streaming platform you get your music on. Just type in my name, Mariel Darling, and I should pop up.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks again. I really appreciate it and good luck with everything.